Hey gang, welcome back to the Destination Baby and Kids YouTube channel. This is Gina, I am your host, and I am super thrilled to go over some stroller basics with you here today on the old YouTube channel. So, what are we talking about? I do the stroller and car seat stuff at my store by appointment because it's just myself, so I run consultations. And prior to people coming in, frequently they might have zero idea of what the heck is even going on with strollers and car seats, and they feel very, very overwhelmed. If this is you, then this is the video that I would want you to watch, because we're going to talk about so many different things that when you go into your local baby store and you do want to purchase something from them, you're going to have the language to be able to talk to them about the features that matter to you and how you want to use the stroller and how you see your lifestyle, okay? So again, this is a ton of information. Feel free to pause it at any time. And of course, go ahead and hit like, hit follow. You can subscribe. If it makes sense to share this video with a friend who's also expecting, or somebody else you know, go ahead and share it. Sharing is caring. Let's launch right in. I've got a lot to go over, and hopefully we can do it effectively. All right, so I have a ton of strollers sitting behind me here. We're gonna launch into pretty much special things about all of them, but what I wanna focus on initially is that when people come in, they frequently think they need to have what is referred to as a travel system. So what's kind of shocking is that I sell about, I'd say at least 80 to 90 different models of strollers, and all of them could technically be a travel system. Travel system simply means that you have a stroller that will enable a car seat to click onto it. Now, when we talk about that, the only car seats that clip onto strollers are going to be infant car seats. Infant car seats have a handle, they are portable, they are generally used for the first year. They all hold different heights and weights, but as an average, let's say 30 pounds and 30 inches, an average one-year-old is between 20 to 22 pounds. Average height for a one-year-old, I believe, is around 27 to 28 inches. So you're gonna wanna watch that kiddo's height, probably more than the weight. Once they get to either the height or the weight restriction on a car seat, not both, either one, you have to move up to the next size car seat. Your next size car seat stays in the car and does not interact with your stroller whatsoever. And you also could do that larger size car seat from birth, but it won't be portable and it won't come out of the car to clip onto the stroller. So let's talk about why this might be something you care about or don't care about or need, okay? So strollers will spend a lot of effort and energy trying to make you understand that they are travel systems, which just means, again, that a car seat can clip onto it. So every single stroller that I'm going to show you in this video is a travel system, okay? Whether or not they're labeled travel systems is irrelevant. They all can be travel systems. And this is something else to watch for as well. When you get into higher end, more premium products, they generally don't force you to buy everything all in one purchase. They'll give you a variety of colors, different models of things, so you can sort of mix and match and build what makes sense for you. But on your more cost-effective products, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be all packaged together, sold in one box. There are less tariffs on importing one box than multiple boxes. So again, it's more cost-effective for the brands to shove everything into one box and sell it to you just as one thing. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna want specifically that car seat with that stroller. And a lot of these you can do mix and match. Not every single one, but frequently you can. So if you got a gifted car seat from a family member and you know what that is, if you go into your baby store and you give them that information, that will help immediately mitigate the 9 million choices for strollers, okay? Because only certain car seats are gonna work with certain strollers and vice versa. A knowledgeable sales representative or somebody like myself who's done this for 20 years will know immediately what works with what, so it does make it considerably faster and easier, okay? So that being said, don't worry again if you don't know. These are just things to keep in mind. All right, so now actually launching into the strollers. There are huge differences in the sizes of these products, okay? And just to show, like, this is a Nuna brand stroller. This is also a Nuna brand stroller. So people think Nuna is one stroller, but Nuna is a brand. They make multiple different models. So it's sort of like Mercedes. They'll make a A model, and then they'll also make an E series. So there's differences depending on size, style, price, all of that's gonna vary. And keeping that in mind, why would there be different size strollers? Well, some people may want something that folds up super small, that can go easily into a trunk, that makes sense to bring traveling. Some people might want more of an all-terrain tire, a bigger underneath storage. They might like all-wheel suspension, height adjustment depending on who's pushing, and still a nice fold, but definitely bigger and heavier than what you see over there. So like, there's a million different ways to problem solve this. And a lot of times I'll have customers come in and they'll be like, what's the best stroller? And it's like, dog, there's a million awesome strollers. What do you care about? Do you care about being lightweight? Do you care about it kind of walking all over the place with you on trails? Where do you see yourself using it? And how many products do you want to purchase? So this gets into another thing. I honestly feel like strollers are like shoes. You will need multiple pairs for different purposes. Now, there's gonna be people that are immediately horrified and will leave this channel and be like, I am only gonna do one stroller, that's it. Okay, that's possible. You certainly could do that, but that's like having one pair of shoes for every type of occasion. You can wear your tennis shoes to church. You can wear your tennis shoes to the beach. You can wear your tennis shoes in the snow. That doesn't mean that that's gonna be the best experience for you. So that's all we're trying to say here. I would always recommend getting a small, lightweight little stroller and then supplementing with something larger later on once you see what your lifestyle is looking like, or if you initially know sort of what your lifestyle is going to look like, you could make that decision as well. So again, there will be strollers that could theoretically function as all-in-ones, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to pick an all-in-one stroller. You could certainly buy 2 different strollers at 2 different points, and that might make you happier than buying one thing up front when we have no idea what we're doing. So again, there's different ways to problem solve. Both of these open up super easily. So I think people have a lot of apprehension about folding these things. If you've learned to tie your shoes, any stroller on the market should be foldable for you. Now that being said, there are people with special needs, short arms, one arms, hand issues, arthritis. If this is you, that is completely reasonable. And there would be things to then look for with somebody who is capable to be able to help you make those decisions based on your unique need set. If you wanted to book a consultation with me virtually, or if we're here in the Bay Area, head on over to my website, destinationbabykids.com. You can go to stroller and car seat consultation and see the different styles and book it there, again, virtual or in person. Now, that being said, the main thing with strollers is that some of them will be ready to work for a newborn baby without any extra stuff directly out of the box. And you're gonna be like, whoa, wait, so some of these work for newborns and some don't? They all theoretically, if you have the car seat clipped onto the frame of the stroller, will work from newborn through to 50 pounds. Every single stroller that I carry for the most part holds 50 pounds, except for some of the twin strollers that cut out at like 45 per seat. And some of the strollers with the double seats might not hold all the way up to 50, but let's just assume for this argument's sake, 50 pounds, okay? That being said, if you look at a new baby, this is my newborn, even though she's bigger than a newborn. What you want with your baby is your baby to be flat. You want their head tipped back so that their airway is open. What you don't want is like what you see in sort of like the bigger kid car seats is the more V shape, and then the head tipping down like this and the chin touching the chest. This can cut off a new baby's breathing. Once a kiddo gets to be about 6 months and they have the ability to roll and move their head and neck all on their own, having chin to chest will not be an issue, but it is initially, specifically probably through 4 to 6 months. So having the head at the correct angle for breathing for long periods of time is definitely recommended. Now that being said, a stroller, in order to work for a newborn, okay, so in order for it to work for a new baby means that the seat component that they're sitting in has an incline 10 degrees or less. So, what does that mean? That means you could have a really fabulous stroller. I'm just going to push one into the frame here. And this is a Cybex. This is the E-Gazelle, fabulous stroller. This has the option to recline. So yes, the seat reclines, it goes back, but it doesn't go back flat enough for that new baby, which I just set somewhere. I'm gonna grab a different, bigger baby. We couldn't be certain that they wouldn't, if they were very little, have the chin to chest, because it's not a deep enough recline for a newborn. So, if that's the case with the stroller, how does that get solved? You can clip a car seat onto here, or you could clip a bassinet onto here. I'm going to show a different stroller that's extremely popular with a bassinet, so that our customers and viewers can understand what I'm talking about. So here we have Vista V2. There is a newer version called Vista V3, but the seat unit has the same issue for a newborn on both models. So like, what that means is, unlike that Cybex, which when we reclined it, the seat went sort of flat, if you recline an UppaBaby Vista or a Cruise, the seat has what's referred to as tilt-in space recline, where the whole seat tilts. And as you can see, there's a very deep V in the seat. So while it reclines, and it does go to 180 degrees, this dip would be too pronounced for a little baby to be in there, and their head would definitely tip down. So UppaBaby, well aware of that, used to, on their older models of the Vista, so like version 2 and older, they would include a lie flat bassinet. So this is awesome. This is overnight sleep certified. Not every stroller that has a bassinet is actually overnight sleep certified, and we'll get into that. They're all supposed to be moving forward, but the reality is some of them will say deliberately on the instructions, do not use them for overnight sleeping, they're just for napping. This one is really cool because you can buy a stand, it would go next to your bed, and you could clip that in and you'd be all good to go. But this on the interior is like a perfectly flat surface, as you can see on the bottom. It's super flat, so that would now go onto the stroller, and it gives you that lay flat for a newborn. And people are like, how long do I use it? It's a developmental thing. Once they start rolling and pushing up on their hands and knees, you would stop using this and you would start using the stroller seat. So the company will give you a blanket answer of 6 months, but for most kids, probably sooner than that, they would need to move into the stroller seat because they're gonna start moving around and having that movement and motion, okay? So you don't necessarily need a bassinet, but you wouldn't be able to put a newborn directly into that stroller seat that came with the stroller. You would need to do a car seat, which UppaBaby makes their own car seat. I am lazy and I didn't want to bring over 800 other car seats. And this is a good example to show you. You can buy pieces to make other brands work together. So UppaBaby, this brand, they make their own infant car seat, which would clip on here without buying any extra stuff. But again, I was too lazy to grab it, so I'm just gonna show it with this Nuna car seat. So this is a Nuna Pippa Air RX, and that clips directly on. So this is the component that sits in the car that goes in for car rides. The stroller seat and the bassinet would not be suitable as a car seat. It's not crash tested, it doesn't have the bike helmet foam, it doesn't have the steel structure, all of those type of things. So that's why you don't use those components as car seats. Car seats are specifically tested for making sure a kid survives a crash. So car seat again can go on the frame, or you can do the bassinet on the frame. Now they also have a third option, believe it or not, and this is very cool. This third option, and I'm bringing over the Cruise because again, I get a high amount of customers that are like, well, the Vista looks really big, the Cruise must be way smaller. Cruise is basically the same size as the Vista, but the Cruise can only work for one child and one standing versus Cruise can work with two sitting on the frame, or Vista can work with two on the frame and one standing for a 3-kid nightmare. If you're interested in that, check out the video. Okay, so what I'm showing here with the Cruise is the seat is reclined, but on the inside of this seat, and I have this set up in my store specifically for this reason, they make this piece right here called the infant snug seat. This is a separate accessory that you would purchase for $50. There's also supposed to be a little head pillow, but that's gotten lost. This has an intense foam wedge. Let me see if I can undo this to show. Foam wedge, which is removable with Velcro on the back of this liner. That wedge is going to take an infant's body and shove them up so that their neck is now open and they're able to breathe. Once they get big enough, you can remove this entire liner. However, what's awesome is you can take out just the underneath piece and use this just as a liner to keep it clean. But it is removable and washable, but that would be another way if you didn't want to buy a bassinet separately or use the car seat, you can purchase a piece like this and use it directly in the stroller seat in order to get that lay flat for a newborn. So remember, all of this stuff that I'm talking about is just psychotically focused on the performance of this for the first 6 months. Once we get past 6 months, you do not need to worry about that head and neck control unless your kiddo has special needs. So like this specific regulation makes it more frustrating to be able to explain strollers and sell strollers to people because they're like, why are some newborn compatible and some not? And this is a long conversation, right? Like you go to a baby store and they're super busy on a Saturday and you're literally shivving people to get out of the way to get at products, to get help and get answers. Do you think a staff member is going to spend an hour going over this with you when they can close 3 or 4 deals and make money? No, probably not. So this is in an effort to give you, again, the tools when you go in to be able to understand why some are going to be this way and some are going to be that way. It's just the way that they're made. So you have different options to be able to make this stuff work with newborns and with a variety of car seats, okay? So kind of showing Vista and Cruise. And just to show you, these all fold. But Vista, so people come in a lot of times and they're like, I know I want a Vista. All my girlfriends have it. It's amazing. And like the thing that's hard for me is that the fold on both Vista and Cruise is enormous. I don't care what people say. This is a really big fold. So you see, looks like that. And then people are like, well, Cruise has got to be way smaller. I mean, I know it's the smaller one. It says it's smaller. Yeah, I guess it's slightly smaller, but both of these are about 29 pounds. So like, they're not particularly what I would refer to as small, lightweight strollers. These are full-featured, full-size strollers. So, and they can be travel systems if you want them to be. Every single stroller you see in this video comes in different colors. And just for a reference point, Vista version 3, which is the new one that doesn't come with a bassinet, is currently $900. I think Vista, if you can find a version 2, should be $799. Cruise is $699, no bassinet, no infant insert, but again, could work with a car seat, or buying extra pieces will clip directly onto there. Yeah, so, and that's without the car seats. Car seats are sold separately, and car seats for that guy are probably gonna start at realistically $299 and go up from there. So there's a broad variety that you can do, and that's just to talk about pricing. Okay, so let's pretend you're going to say, hey, show me strollers that work for a newborn out of a box. I want to see that. I don't want to have to buy extra stuff. If I want to use my stroller immediately without the car seat, what choices do I have? You're going to be more limited. It certainly isn't the end of the world, but this is just to show what we're talking about. So like these two here, and the Cruise and the Vista are good examples of what I would refer to as modular style strollers. A modular stroller means that the stroller seat or some component lifts up off the frame and you have the frame just on its own. So we can go ahead and take the car seat and put it directly on the frame. Just like that. So the seat faces both directions and the car seat can clip directly onto the frame without the stroller seat being on the frame. If you go to a more traditional style stroller, it doesn't mean that it's heavier or larger, but what I mean by traditional is that it is not modular. This seat, which is intended for the kiddo as they get larger, this will only stay on the frame. It's not removable and reversible. However, we can recline this flat enough for a newborn. So that's very exciting. We can also put the footrest up if we're worried about the new baby rolling out, we can put the footrest up and buckle on both sides so the baby can't roll out. Now, what would be frustrating about this, if I were the caregiver, is I'm pushing, and what you would notice is that baby is now facing that direction. So if I want to look at baby's darling face and have that face-to-face contact, the way that I would be able to do it with this specific stroller, which is the Nuna Travel LX, is I would take my Nuna brand infant seat and I would have the kiddo facing me directly when they're in the infant car seat. So that's going to be how I get face-to-face on this style of product with my infant seat. Now, that's a bit of a disappointment. I would probably want to lay them flat in the stroller and have them look directly at me. However, the trade-off is going to be, because the seat stays on, this has a very compact fold. So typically when you have a reversible seat, the fold is going to get larger on the stroller. So because this all stays together, it's a little bit more compact, a little bit more travel friendly. Now these two, which this guy is going to be the Nuna Mix Next, and this is the Perego Vivace, these are both able to work with newborn out of the box with the stroller seat. And the cool thing is the stroller seat can face the caregiver. So these are modular strollers. So the seat faces both directions. They're modular. That can be travel systems if we want them to be. But we don't have to have that. So you might be thinking, well, who the hell would not use a car seat on a stroller? Because most people do. We're here near in the Bay Area, like by San Francisco. If you live in San Francisco, New York, Hong Kong, London, a lot of cities that people take public transportation, they may want to use a stroller from birth without any car seat. Now, they'll still have a car seat, but they just don't want that to be the integral piece. And the other thing is a car seat holds the kid's body in a V shape. That's why they come with those crazy infant pillows that hoist the fanny upward to give them that open air. So we're going to talk about that in 1 second as well. But I'm going to go ahead and flip this seat around to show the lie flat. This one has because again, Nuna loves these little pramette styles where you just hook everything to itself, which is definitely darling. Gives you that sort of comfortable feeling that the baby isn't going to roll out. But as you can see here, currently I think the price point on this one is around $800 with no car seat, but will work with a newborn all the way through to 50 pounds and has the option to face the caregiver directly from birth. The same is true here on Vivace. Vivace is $699, so it's less expensive than the Nuna. It also has a longer warranty, 5 years. But this will go, Nuna is a 2-year warranty. So again, all these stroller companies are different. That's another thing to consider when you're purchasing. I will say premium strollers push amazingly well, and they all stand behind their product, which is great. But as you can see here, we have on both of these guys, a flat enough recline for a newborn and modular, so the seat can flip around to be forward facing. Now here's my 2 cents on this. I think it's great that these strollers lie flat. I think the greater benefit with a stroller that lies flat is that if you ever get caught somewhere where there isn't a changing station, you have a flat surface to be able to conduct a diaper change where there isn't a big dip in the seat. So it's like, it sort of gets you double duty. I doubt that you'd be using it that way a lot, but especially for gentlemen, sometimes men's rooms won't have that. So it's nice to know that you have a stroller that will accommodate you no matter what. So again, this concern about the hyper lie flat, I get it, but it's a pretty short-lived thing in that it's only really truly necessary the first 6 months, and then beyond that, it would not be as necessary for bigger kids. So you see here, stroller folds up super nicely, locks together. And then this guy, of course, folds with the seat facing forward or backward, which is pretty atypical. Most of these strollers, again, if they're modular, meaning if the seat reverses, you do have to turn it forward in order to fold the stroller. So all of these have a nice compact fold. The Nuna Mix Next is going to be 30 pounds. Vivace is 22. Travel LX, which is the super small lightweight one, is about 15. So it's like, hey, how lightweight is it? I need the lightest weight one. I can't lift anything. If you're gonna go into a store and say that, you better be like on the 4th floor of a walk-up. Because if it's just too much to like lift this into the trunk and you're literally expecting and you don't have special needs, you're just gonna get stronger. And that's the solution. And that's not to say that you can't look for something that's lightweight, but being visibly disappointed that everything is over 7 pounds and sulking while you shop is generally not the best look, and it's hard for employees. So keep that in mind while you're shopping. You're gonna get stronger, and everything that feels tricky will get easier with time. You're not gonna be asked to master 500 things, you're only gonna be asked to master like 1 or 2 things. So that being said, I do wanna touch on some other stuff too. You can get strollers that will fold small enough to go in the overhead. Is this gonna be a great stroller for jogging? No, this is not a jogging stroller. The same as this guy here, not a jogging stroller. So people, for whatever reason, think one stroller should do everything, but they have no problem buying a new iPhone every year. That's insane. Strollers are gonna have different purposes and they're gonna be sized differently based on what you want. Now to show what a good running stroller, well not necessarily good running stroller, but just in general, what a running stroller would be. This is a running stroller. A running stroller has 3 tires. It has a locking front tire, which means the front tire locks for running. Typically they would lock actually forward and not underneath the frame, but every company is different. And then also another thing with running strollers is they're insured so that when the wheel is locked and you're steering by tipping up, if the handle goes down because you're tipping up like that, the handle will hit the ground before your kid's head will. So these are things on running strollers that like make them certified as running strollers, which are different than the other strollers. And here's another way to think of it. If you're an actual runner, do you go to Payless to buy your running shoes? No. You probably have a really expensive pair of like weirdo running shoes that you can only get at some random tiny store and they're, you know, imported from Nike from France or whatever. That's what we're talking about. Now, this being said, running strollers can still fold very easily. They can still fit into a trunk. You could put a car seat on here. However, you cannot do high impact running with a child for the first 6 months because their head's gonna be bobbing all around and that's like shaken baby syndrome. So we wouldn't recommend it. But if you wanted to take your kiddo for a walk those first 6 months and you wanted to clip the car seat on, that's actually pretty sick. That would be what I would do. Nice feature to be able to do that on the running strollers. And again, I have a whole video on that. I'll link it to the bottom. They range in price from like as little as $350 up to, you know, $700-800. There's ones that hook onto bikes, all kinds of cool stuff. Okay, we're near the end. I just want to show one other thing. Sometimes we'll get people asking about these relatively inexpensive travel systems. And so this is a good example of what we were talking about at the beginning. This is going to be a more cost-effective option. This is the Maxi Cozy Zelia Lux Plus travel system. I really like this Lux Plus because you get a very safe car seat with it. It's significantly nicer than the Zelia, regular Zelia car seat. It comes with a base with an anti-rebound, not an anti-rebound bar, a stability load leg. And I have a video going over car seat safety features, and that car seat's like no question better than the one that comes with the cheaper version of this, but whatever. Car seat, again, holds the kiddo's body in a V shape. So we may not want them in there all day, but the stroller includes the pieces to be able to put their car seat directly onto the frame. And so if you're like, wait, why doesn't it click on just immediately? Why do I have to put the pieces on? You know, I don't know what to tell you. It's how they build it. I agree it would be easier if it just went on seamlessly without having to put adapters on. But for most of these products, you will have to put adapters on. Not all of them, but most of them you do. Car seat clips directly on. So that's very cool. Car seat comes off nicely. And then this is a two-handed fold. So you have to engage 2 fingers. And then that folds up. So that's nice. Now, if we put the stroller seat on it, the stroller seat is going to be different than all the other ones that we showed you. The reason why I say that is because there's confusion about this style of stroller seat as well. Some of the more cost-effective options on the market, meaning your less expensive options, will have seats that can turn into. Now that being said, just because it turns into a bassinet doesn't mean that like it is a true bassinet. So what does that look like? It means that there's little pieces on the back that you undo, and then it gives you the appearance of a bassinet. You get more of a lay flat than you would, but it's not a bassinet that is overnight sleep certified. So it's not one that they can sleep in next to your bed. And it's just kind of a more inexpensive way to give a customer who's looking for all the bells and whistles at a very, very cost-effective price, all of those features. So while this type of product does exist, it's far less frequent that I sell them, just because most people either don't want a bassinet at all, or if they do, they want it to be overnight sleep certified, meaning they can use it in their bedroom, in their home for overnight sleeping, which this style you can't. And like the other thing with the ones that are less expensive is generally it's more specific to do things like folding and unfolding. And then the number one complaint on this stroller, if you go online and read it, is going to be that like the wheels are not amazing after lots of use. So generally speaking, the more expensive you go, or the nicer you go, the better performance will be over the amount of time you want to use it. So like think about the opportunity cost of shopping again, right? I don't want to come out and shop for 50 different products as my kiddo gets bigger and bigger. I'd like to just shop one time and then be done. So hopefully this Stroller 101 gives you some information and some language to be able to communicate with somebody what you think would make sense if you were stroller shopping, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Leave questions or comments below. If it makes sense, go ahead and hit like, hit subscribe. You can share this video with someone. And also head on over to my website, destinationbabykids.com. If you do want to book that stroller appointment, it's under stroller and car seat consultation. And of course, any of the strollers shown in here, you can buy directly on my website, destinationbabykids.com. Okay, thanks so much for watching.